Welcome to the Game of Life podcast, where we bring you inspiring softball stories, insightful tips from coaches and players, and explore how the game transcends its boundaries to become a metaphor for life. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, a casual fan, or someone just looking for inspiration, you're in for a treat. We'll unravel the tales that go beyond the scoreboard. Discover how perseverance and hard work on the field translates into resilience in your daily challenges. Learn about teamwork, leadership, and the unwavering spirit that fuels success, not just in sports, but in the game of life. Another week, another episode. Gonna be short and sweet. We know we have a hard time hooking up just the way our schedules are. I mean, that's the good thing about being busy in life. Wanted to touch base on a topic that I think people don't think about. I'm going to set the stage, then I'm going to ask you what you think. Every year, this is what, at least in upstate New York, people call silly season right now. Like, your last tournaments are over. You still may have another week, but all the teams have tryouts and all the programs have tryouts. And then within the tryouts, coaches want to stay together. Coaches want to keep their team together. Coaches know kids might play up. Do you play up? Do you play down? I mean, I'm just all over the place right now because the question I'm going to ask you, everybody that plays travel softball supposedly loves the game of softball. I'm not knocking that for whatever reason, but I think it's important to sit down with your family or son or daughters and say, what do you want to do next year? Because caught up in all the chaos of what team you should play for, I think this is where people forget the why. And I think this is where it starts going south real quick in the travel softball world. So I'm not even sure what I just asked you there as a
Right.
question, but
No,
you try to unpack it and see what you
no,
come.
I mean, I think you're spot on. I think the one thing I see the most just throughout my journey and as a coach now is sometimes parents are fighting for something that their kid doesn't even want. Like they're fighting for, I want them to play on this team. They got to be the best. I want this coach. You need to play this position, this many innings. And if you talk to the kid for 5 minutes, you can immediately see like the biggest disconnect in the world. So I think it starts with just being honest with yourself, asking yourself questions like, what level do I want to play at? Do I want to start all the time? Do I want to be around people who are going to push me and make me better? Do I need to go to 3 practices a week, or can I be on more of a team where we're from all over the place and we only do one team practice a week and but I do a lot on my own? Isn't it, here's a big one. Is it important that I play with my friends? Is would I give up other things so that I can play with my friends? Because I think it was really hard growing up because we were on a team at one point, a local team, and we got a lot of crap for moving to a different one. And I think when you think about it, you have to ask yourself every year, what are my softball goals in the next year? What are my softball goals? And if the team that you're currently on isn't going to help you reach them, right? It's a personal thing too. Are you working hard enough to achieve those goals? That's number one. Because if no, then moving isn't going to help you. But two, is this team I'm going to help me on reach whatever goal I have in the next year? And if that's a no, your friend should support you, right? Because by the time you get to be freshman, sophomore, junior, if I look to my left and right and those people have different softball goals than me, it's kind of like, what am I doing here? Because I'm not putting myself in a good position to reach my goals. And when we made that move, a lot of my friends on the local team just wanted to have fun. They love softball and they wanted to have fun and enjoy it. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to be in a place, hey, I want to get recruited. I want to be around teammates who also want to get recruited and push me to be better. So again, I ramble too. I don't even know what question I just asked you, if any, but I think that's just so huge, is being honest with yourself and being able to make those tough decisions to ultimately achieve what you want.
Yeah. Uh, again, we left friends. I mean, to this day, I there's still people that really my friend because of it, which I think is weird because I remember as a family we sat down and said, if people are mad at a decision we make for our family, well then they don't have our best interests in them, of course. They want us to just be with them. And maybe it's because you get along great or you have fun together. But at the end of the day, no one should disrespect a decision a family makes, right?
Hmm. And
And
I think where a lot of people struggle too is, oh, well, loyalty. Like I need to be loyal to the program that I'm in, right? And that is true. I'm not saying that you need to up and be like, this sucks, I'm leaving, right? But you have that honest conversation of like, hey, I love my experience here, but I'm looking for something else that's taking me in a different direction. Thank you so much. Let's still hang out, like let's be friends, but I hope that you can support me on this new journey that I'm on.
if you if you want to play college softball, and I could care less what level, okay,
Mhm.
but you never travel outside of your region, it has nothing to do, in my opinion, of what level you play at. It's the perspective. Like the first time we go out to Colorado or we went to Florida, it's not about what level we play at. You realize how many people play the game of softball.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're just like you. There's tons better, there's tons worse, there's tons like you. I mean, without talking to an individual or looking, like, I don't know where people fall in that, but it gives you the perspective that, wow, like, why am I worthy of playing for said college at any level? Not,
Hmm.
not, I can't believe that college doesn't want me. Well, you don't even know what else is out there. Like, step out of
Yeah.
your, and I think everybody should do that at least once if you think you're playing college softball. We can get into the other reasons people keep traveling, and they're all fine. But the biggest thing I struggle with is don't not travel and then complain about your options for college.
Yeah. And I think another benefit of going and playing somewhere else is not only knowing how much competition is out there, but playing that good competition too, right? Like I know when you're from big cities and stuff, like there's a lot of good competition right around you, which is awesome. And I know growing up for us, we usually had to travel a pretty decent way for some of those tournaments. But I think you go to these showcases or these, out of region, let's just call them tournaments, and you're on a high, right? Like, oh, we just won two local tournaments, we're great. And then you go and it's like, holy crap, whoa. Like, so, and I think that kind of humbles you too of being like, okay, I've been really focused on what I want from a college. Like, I want this, I want that. Okay, well, why should they want you? Right? Like, you look around at all these other players, what can you offer that they don't? Because that's what coaches are looking for. They have a few scholarships every year, a few roster spots. So for them, it's, what are you providing to my team? Not just, oh, I want to go to this college.
Yeah. And when you go to those, I mean, we played organizations where the coaches are paid. We played organizations where they show up on their own bus and they literally have different uniforms for every game of the day. And we're not complaining or whining or comparing, but do you bring the right attitude and do you bring the fight? And I think if you bring those two things, the attitude and the fight, now you're ready to play on that same stage, regardless of talent, regardless of win-loss record, regardless of background. But if you can't bring attitude and fight to competing, then I don't know, you probably shouldn't play at a higher level.
Yeah. No, I think that's a huge one. No matter what team you're on, you have to bring those two things. I think that's a really good point.
So we've talked about, I mean, we just went on a little bit of a rant about, traveling and playing in college. What are other reasons people should be honest about why you love the game of softball? Because it doesn't, y'all stop playing, you've stopped playing,
Yeah,
there's not even a beer league team that recruits you now.
I know. Washed up.
But my point is, so everybody loves the games for different reasons. And I think it's just to be honest with yourself why you're playing the game before you make a decision of what team you play for.
Yeah. I mean, I think one big reason is, and I talk about this all the time. I mean, to you, I have. When you are trying to get recruited and say, "Oh, I want to play in college," everyone's watching you. Like a lot of people care what you're doing. Like I had people say to me, "Why the hell would you travel all over the country when you went to a school that was an hour away?" because those coaches are looking at what kind of schedule you play, right? That's keeping things in perspective for them. Are you on a competitive team? How much have you competed in the last year? Are you are you on a team that's going to push you and make you better? Or are you on one where you're winning every tournament that you're playing? So I think it's important to be honest with yourself because so many people have those opinions when you're getting recruited and in that process. But once you go to the college that you've chosen, no one cares anymore from your hometown. Like all that noise gets quieter and quieter and quieter, and you are the person that has to live with the decision you made for the next however many years, 4 years. So I think being honest, because in that moment, other people's opinions of you seem so, so loud, but really, like, you got to turn the volume up on yours because it's really the only one that matters. So just saying, am I happy doing this? Because if not, I'm going to go through something for 4 years. It's going to feel like a job to me, spending 20 plus hours a week doing other than something I love. So I think being honest by the time you're in high school of just, do I want to do this? And by the way, if the answer is no, that's okay. Like, that is okay. I know we talk a lot about college and that stuff because that's what we went through and want to provide guidance on. But if the answer is no, then that's okay. Like, you have so much worth in other things. It doesn't have to be a yes. You don't have to go play in college. So, but you have to be honest with yourself so that your future self is happy and thanks you for it.
So, couple things. Again, we were joking a couple episodes ago with Jenna that when you guys started your athletic careers, this was the last thing I think we'd be talking about someday, right? I won't rehash that for the sake of your own mental health. Okay, how bad
Mm-hmm.
soccer. But
Yeah.
you fell in love with a process of the ups and downs and adversity and learning from failures and trying to succeed that it took you where it took you. The second thing, so that's step one. Like, do people really love the process of doing all that? Because if you don't, that's fine. High school, especially in our area, we have such great coverage media wise for high school athletes. And I feel like everybody thinks it's the biggest crowning achievement when you sign. But
Mm-hmm.
when all that noise disappears, positive or negative, are you willing to go back to that process that got you there? That's why I brought that up. And I just think then when you're there, I mean, this, I guess I want to backtrack a little bit from my third point. Have we ever told the story of your college roommate, what happened in Colorado?
No.
So I thought of that today. That was my third point. I just couldn't read my writing when you were like, why do you go all the way to Colorado to play to school an hour away? And I mean, if you want, tell the story. I think
Well,
Chloe
I'll
would.
tell the I'll tell the cliff notes because we're gonna have her on someday and she can tell it
Yes,
herself.
yes.
But
Good point.
my
Good point.
college roommate is from Seattle and we were both at the same tournament in Colorado playing an all-star game. And she jumped over the fence, robbed a home run,
And
and
we
flipped.
didn't know her at the time at
No, we
all.
didn't know her. Flipped over a fence and caught a ball. And Binghamton recruited her a lot had having to do with that moment. So we didn't know her at the time, and then when I got to college, I was like, "Oh my God, this girl in Colorado flipped over the fence and caught a ball." She's like, "I flipped over a fence in Colorado and caught a ball," and we were like, "What?" So it was just crazy. About we'll have to have her on and tell the story, but that was one of those times, just core memory in my life. We were like, "You're joking." So there's a camera somewhere. Like, who is messing with us right now? But no, it was insane, and I think it just goes to show you never know what opportunity is going to present itself, but you have to put yourself in those opportunities. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is I'm going to go to a tournament and a coach is just going to show up and watch me and want me on the spot. Unless, I'm sorry if no one's ever broken this to you, but unless you go 4 for 4 with 4 home runs, like that's just probably not gonna happen. Which, and I never say never, anything is possible, but you have to do a lot of outreach and a lot of work. So to me, if you're not willing to put in that work, if someone's forcing you to email colleges and forcing you to do this, like you got to be honest with yourself. Like maybe that's not something you want. And I want to preface, I do not want to confuse adversity with not loving the game, right? Because you're not going to have fun every day, right? If you have a terrible practice, you're going through something, like you're not maybe not having fun in that moment, but you still feel purpose in it and you love it. You go home and you're like, dang, that didn't go well, but I'm determined to get after it tomorrow. To me, that's loving it. Whereas you
Oh,
go home, you're like, I don't even care. That's probably not.
right. Well, we had Allie Lamb on a last episode. I mean, her whole focus of the conversation was to try to find the fun even in those moments, right? Because you can't define fun as bobbleheads and giggles and sunshine and rainbows. You have to find the little silver lining. That was awesome.
Mhm.
But back to that story, you had emailed Binghamton and it is what it is. And the fact that you had a decent game that day, you're traveling cross country to play against competition that they want to recruit to be the best they can be in college. And when you
Mhm.
step up and play well, I mean, I remember thinking the coaches were there to see you, and I'm starting to wonder now after
Who
close.
knows?
But it doesn't matter because that's the other thing. Even if you're on a high level team where people already are recruited, those coaches will go. I don't want to say babysit, but go check in on the players they've
Mhm.
recruited. And you just don't know what opportunity you're going to have every time you're around a coach, especially some of those well, all the coaches talk, and their friend might be like, hey, I need a utility player, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, hey, I'm full, but I saw this player the other day.
Yeah.
So I want to go back. This is all great, but I want to go back. So if you're 10U or 12U or 14U, in your opinion, in my opinion, our journey doesn't mean everybody's going to do the same thing. Like, what's your focus of why you play softball at various ages? Is there like a template you could come up with? Like,
I'll
I
come
mean,
up with something right now. So, all right,
eight,
let's
eight
go
U
like
doesn't count because you're on. I know it's exciting, but you're on a
no, I
tee.
was just gonna say, so 10, like 8U T-ball is, oh, what's this? Like, let me try, right? 10U is this is kind of fun. Like, I enjoy having fun with my friends. I like going to practice. I like playing catch. I like diving in the dirt. I like all of it. 12U is, wow, like this is something I'm kind of passionate about. I could see myself getting really competitive about this. You might get upset when you don't play well. The highs are really high, the lows are really low, right? You're trying to figure out kind of what's going on still, but you know that you really like it. 14U is either, wow, I'm committed to this, or, and there's kind of other things in my life that I like more than this. So I'm either just gonna play for fun or take a step back. Usually, that's kind of how I see it. I either that's where the gap kind of starts to happen. I see I really love this, or and the opportunity cost isn't what I think it should be, so I'm gonna go do other things. Last year, 14U to 16U is no one needs to tell me to do this. I want this for myself. I'm committed. Let's think about what my next level goals are. Is this something I want to do in college? I am in love with this process and I want to keep competing through it. Or I just want to play for fun. I still like this sport, but I don't see it going any further. I just want to play for fun. I want to play with my friends and I want to compete at something. I enjoy it, but I don't see this as a main event in my life moving forward. If that makes sense. So I don't know how I did. I'm curious on your thoughts on that. But to me, that's kind of the process.
I think it's fantastic, and it varies because we've talked at
Oh,
length
100%. Yeah.
in our area of the country. Usually a lot of times you go from 14U to 18U if you're that committed to the process.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger areas, you're going to have multiple 16U teams, which is fine too. But that age is when you really are supposed to come to your own. And if people, whether you're a parent bugging your child or nagging your child, or you're a child that feels like your parent or coach is doing that, then it's probably time to reassess why you want to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And,
And
you know,
I
oh, go
I
ahead.
also I was just gonna say I also want to say too, like j I don't want to make it sound like in ninth grade if you're not like this is my life, I want to play in college, that's a hard no because it's not. Like I thought I might play basketball in college up through what freshman year, Dad? I don't remember what
Okay.
time. So,
Well,
but
no, I mean, you went to some showcases, even sophomore and junior at the
sophomore.
time. You
So
were torn.
I
You
think it's
love
just
both
about
sports.
I think it's just about knowing that you want to compete at the next level. Like you want to do something or you don't. So I think that's kind of important to know because I feel like the part that's not talked about a lot is when you get to college and you decide to do this, it is the most fun of your life if you love it. But I've also seen people at other schools and things that are just all around like not love it. Like they don't want to pour themselves into it
Right.
and it really affects them and not the best way because they could be doing other things or their parents put a lot of pressure on them or XYZ reason. So that's why it's so important to be honest with yourself early on because in college if you want to do other things you should do other things. Like that is the time in your life to do what you love with your best friends. Like that is what it is. If that happens to be softball, awesome. If it's not, that's okay too, but you should be doing it for you and only you, not to please anybody else.
But that's the whole point of the podcast, Game of Life. Whatever
Hmm.
you're doing, it should be about the competition, about the growth, about the adversity, about the coping, about the getting better. So if softball's the venue, if that's what you use for a certain point of your time till you have to move on with your career, do it. If it's playing the piano, if it's musicals, if it's soccer, if it's basketball. But
Hmm.
if you're just doing that, and I think the real failure is when you do anything, sport or non-sport, but you don't love the process, then you got to get out of there and go work at find something that you love the process for. And don't tell me, yeah, I'm just not a competitive person. I don't buy that. If you find something you're really passionate and that
Yeah.
means a lot to you, you'll become competitive. And competitive doesn't mean dog eat dog. Competitive just means you want to try your best every single day, regardless
Hmm.
of the outcome. And I
And
think
I,
people
yeah.
miss
And I know we've talked a lot about playing other sports, but the one thing we haven't talked about is one reason it's so important to do other things early on is because it lets you choose. It lets you choose what you like. If you're only doing one thing, it feels like it got chosen for you. But if
that.
you're doing 12 different things, like I chose this. I chose this out of everything. And I feel like that gives you a lot of power because you know you love it. Whereas if you're only doing one thing, if you quit, it's kind of like, well, I didn't try anything else. Or you grow up and you start to have adversity, and you're like, well, what if I did that instead? But if you're young and you're trying everything, which I think you should, by the way, you get to choose what you like. And then you can live confidently in that decision, knowing that you
Right.
tried everything else, knowing that you decided that you love it, and knowing that you decided you want to continue with it and compete at it.
100%. I mean, I think we covered it in the brief amount of time we allocated for tonight. Any closing thoughts? I mean, I felt like that was a closing thought.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's good. I think just being honest with yourself, like travel ball is so, so fun too, if you let it be. I think to me though, it's more fun the more you compete and the more you challenge yourself. And I think you just need to be in a place that's going to help you reach your goals and push you to be the player and the person that you want to be.
Absolutely.
So,
All right, we're gonna end on that. Another good convo. And I that's one of the topics I get a little passionate about because as a high school coach, whether they play travel or not, doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is outside of the season they are with me, how are they competing? And if they
yeah,
compete in sports, fine. If they compete in travel, fine. But if they're just going through the motions, that doesn't help our team. And it doesn't help them moving forward in life. And I think that was kind of the basis of why we came up with this topic tonight.
yeah, definitely.
All
All
right.
right.
Till
Thanks,
next time,
everyone.
Alan. See ya.
See ya.